Let's take a look at how, for example, the size of area light and the strength can be used to start modeling a scene. So I'm going to add another plane. I'm going to rotate this one, rotate this one as well, and move it over to here. This one, maybe I can move up to there, and those I think are a little bit too big, so I'm going to scale them down just a notch. This one, scale up to this, so it's nice and big. And this one, maybe I call light left, and this one I call light right. Add emission, and here I apply emission as well. And again, both lights I also do not want to show up inside my rendering. And let's zoom out a little bit, and you can see how, for example, where the lights actually are positioned, they start interacting with my ground plane. So what can I do with this? Well, if I, for example, turn this one to 0 and turn this one to 0, I only have light coming in from the right side, from here. Again, for example, make this one stronger to, for example, give it a good contrast. But you see, I create kind of like this interaction with my ground plane. So maybe I have to position it somewhere where maybe I don't really see this pattern on the ground plane. So maybe like there, that is okay. Now the right side, the left side, for example, is kind of darkish, and maybe I can turn this light on, but maybe not so much. Maybe 0.5, just to dim it up a little bit. And then here I have the same effect, so maybe I rotate it, move it to there a little bit. Kind of like this, yeah. And you see, for example, if I turn this one off to 0, that shadow is really strong. And if I type in 0.5, this light will brighten up the shadows, so the shadow is not pitch black. And maybe this one, I can maybe type in 2.5, or maybe 1, let's see. That's maybe too strong, maybe 0.5. So you see, the brighter I make it, the less contrast I have inside my rendering. And I'm going to add another plane. Actually, hold on. I'm going to use a circle, and with 16 vertices, and then the circle I fill, scale it down, move the circle to here, and then turn the camera visibility off. You also actually see, the circle creates a shadow, so shouldn't create any shadows as well. So you see, you can also turn off the ability of an object that it should not create any shadow, and that works with every object. But just specifically for lights, it can be very useful. And then I go to emission and maybe say spot. Let me go to there, or rotate it. And you can see that this way I can create kind of like a halo on the backdrop. So to create a little bit of contrast, if, for example, I want on the backdrop behind my object. And then I could play more a little bit with my scene and the different lights. And the backdrop here, for example, has kind of like a stronger crease. Maybe that's not really what I want. So maybe in here, I'm going to soften this transition a little bit more. And maybe make it like this. So you see now this blend is a little bit better. So I hope this way you can see how much you can do just by playing with the area lights and the light strength, and how that, for example, can then create different moods inside your image. For example, if I turn this one off to 0, I have a really strong contrast from the one side, the light coming in. If I want to have a nice and diffuse rendering, I can mainly work with a top light and then use those maybe just only a little bit to illuminate my scene. You see that this one feels more uniform and softly. And again, it's very useful if you take a look at those product studio photos as a reference for the size of the area lights and their positioning, to get them ideas and just simply rebuild it.